Can I proceed, Chair? Please protect me, Chair.
Use your time, use your time.
Yeah, protect me so I can proceed under a conducive environment.
Is there somebody injecting fear?
Honorable Malema says we must use 30 minutes only.
No, he's right. If you use 5 minutes of the time, we proceed to the next speakers.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. But use your time effectively.
Okay. No, thank you very much, Chair. Good afternoon, Minister. Before any further ado, I would like to request for this clarification from you with regards to a consultation to the President. Earlier you said when you were asked questions by the evidence leader, the response that you gave is that you did consult the President and the President consented to the disbandment of the PKTT. Today, when Honorable Ngola was asking the same question about consultation between yourself and the President, you gave a different answer. You said you did not consult the President. So for my record, which one should I take? Did you consult or you didn't consult the President?
I did. I did consult after writing.
After means after
the letter
the 31st.
of the 31st, yes.
After the 31st of December.
Yes.
Okay, so you were not consulting, you were informing him because the decision had already been taken.
Well, that could be your interpretation or somebody's or anybody's interpretation, but factually, it was after the 31st.
Okay. If I can summarize the presentation that you have given here before the committee, you said that the reason why you disbanded the team is because A, you have a constitutional right to do so. 2, and you gave different interpretations of the clauses in the Constitution. B, you had budgetary concerns. C, there are complaints that you received from the members of the public. D, there is a work study that was conducted which influenced your decision. Is that the correct summary of your whole presentation?
Fairly, yes, because you count the Constitution, in other words, that I was within my constitutional right, and
Yes.
the clauses that is within the legislative framework, and then budgetary constraints, and then complaints not just from the public, where I want just a slight amendment, but also from members of the National Political Killings Task Team internally, not just outside that. And then the work study and implementation thereof.
Okay.
It's a fair summary.
Yes, I just want us to deal with one aspect, the aspect of complaints from members of the public. The evidence that you have attached to your statement is an evidence that relates to complaints that were written by Patricia Mashale and Mary Dihas. Those are the two complainants that we have attached in your statement. Now, you have even went to an extent of attaching Facebook posts that were written by Patricia Mashale. Do you regard the allegations that were made by Patricia Mashale as damning? Were they damning?
First, I must correct that I only included those two. I did include that there are other people internal to National Political Killings Task Team. I did indicate that in my main submission, and that I even went on to suggest that they be called in themselves to speak, and I did engage the evidence leader how it could be done and all of that, and therefore they are included in the submission. It's not just Patricia Mashale.
Yeah, but I'm saying mainly the evidence of Patricia Mashale is dominating, for instance, the Facebook post and so on, and emails that were written by her to your office.
And then your question?
The question is, do you regard the allegations that she was making as damning?
Well, I regard that as something that can't be ignored. That's why I brought it. Not necessarily damning, especially because I did indicate that at some point I got worried about the frequency with which she was sending things about subs, and I went to the IGI to say, can you profile this lady to me, because I am looking at the frequency. I want to know who she is exactly and so on. So not necessarily all damning, not just damning, not damning in all respects. There are somewhere where you feel, yo, this matter, but in others it's a repeat of what you know and all of that.
Yeah,
Yes.
but the fact of the matter, are you done, Minister?
The
Are
fact
you
of the
done?
matter-
Are you done?
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is that when you were giving reasons here for the decision that you took on the 31st, you made mention of these reasons, of these complaints. So it means they influenced your decision in one way or the other. Is that correct?
Well, I'm not sure exactly when you talk about influence, because it could be misinterpreted, but I'm counting it as a factor. There was this, there was that, there was all these issues. To me, they gave a collective weight that caused me to write this collectively. But if you select one and as having this and that, it will be a problem, because immediately you discount all others. So I weighed all of them.
Yeah. No, I'm not discarding others, Minister. I'm saying
Okay.
they are part of the reasons that
Yes.
influenced your decision
Yes.
on the 31st of December.
Yes.
Now, don't you think you acted irrational by being influenced by decisions which you have never tested through subjecting them to an investigation?
No, all the time when there are matters like those, you need some form of investigation, or if not an investigation itself. Now, when I took the decision, I did indicate clearly, as I do now, that I was looking forward to more engagement through the preliminary report and through the meeting of UNESCO. That is where we're going to meet high level, all of us. And then I would have outlined all my concerns, including that one. And therefore, I'm responding in that particular way. That you in a way, the letter could be regarded as an invitation for a serious, substantial discussion internally from me to the National Commissioner, so that we discuss this. That's why I said it was not a fait accompli at all, but it was a decision. Like all other decisions in the world, not just in South Africa or in Parliament, when there are weighty matters coming your way after you have taken a decision, you review your decision. You can always review your decision if there are weighty matters coming your way. But what I did was to take a decision when I felt that the matters before me warrant a decision, and I did so.
So do you agree with me, Minister, that these allegations were never tested? You never even attempted to test them through a thorough investigation.
Not necessarily that way. Remember that a person like Patrice, like De Haas, also came to Parliament, and they were talking about things that you yourself would see in the department, and you would hear from other people talking from a different angle, but saying the same thing. And even though you may not necessarily call that an investigation, but you could see that other people are also concerned, or they are sharing the concern. So in as far as a shared concern is concerned on some matters, yes, even though they were not tested in an investigation, which I said, by the way, the form in which the inquiry, which I spoke about with the special advisor at the beginning of the year, was still in question. How would we do it? How do we craft it? Because we knew, even having taken the decision, we needed these other people to give them a platform where they would talk about the things they were saying to me, but in a platform created for that, while meeting their demands of safety and all of that and so on that they were counting. So while it is there was no rigorous testing, but it was not just a copycat of seeing a complaint, then you go and write a letter. It was, and for instance, there are also matters, the structure and all of that had gone a long way and had evidence that they were processed and so on. So that is how it is.
Yeah. Let me tell you the logic from which I'm coming, Minister. When I say you never tested them, I mean that you just acted upon a belief that they are true. Because you were supposed to say, let me appoint a forensic investigator, like you did. You gave an instruction for a tender of 360 million, that it must be audited, the contract. With regards to this one, which was putting the name of the organization into disrepute, you just acted based on allegations which were written on Facebook. Because partly, I'm saying partly, because you even attached them to your statement to say these are one of the reasons that led to the disbandment. So it means they influenced your decision. Because if they did not influence your decision, then there is no need for them to be part of your submission here in Parliament. So they did influence your decision. I'm not saying they represent holistically the decisions that influenced you, but they are part of the reasons that influenced you. And if you agree with me on that, then it means you acted with negligence because you failed to test them.
Not necessarily. I've already said what they were saying in those emails and correspondence. There were other concerns raised by other people for cross-checking, and I found that, yes, I may not have ordered an inquiry, but what this one is saying sounds the same, or it looks the same, or is similar to what the other person is saying, and therefore it is a factor, and I went on. And there was plenty of time for me ahead, after the decision, to do the actual testing. Hence, I discussed a possible inquiry with a special advisor.
Now, was that approach not improper to disband and later test? Because we are saying here there was plenty of time for you to test them after the decision. Meaning after their irreparable harm was effected by you. Because you took a decision to disband on the basis of these allegations. And you are saying let me implement a decision on the basis of these allegations and test them later. Is that logical, Minister?
No, but remember, I've always said there was a category of people who asked for meetings with me, called me, and so on, outside of Patricia, outside of the House, who raised grave things, and I even categorize those things as of an HR nature within the National Political Task Team, but also of a nature that I felt would be regarded as of disrepute to police general, if not defeating the ends of justice. Now, once I looked at them like that, I wanted this matter to be brought into all of our attention, but then there was an issue of risk requiring further probe in terms of how would you have this but still guarantee their safety, whether they're at work and so on. So it was not just a question of reading an email, balancing it with any other, and then writing. There were other matters that I have already indicated.
Okay, Minister, let's go to page 9, paragraph 18, where you say, my orientation was extensive and ended only this year. So you are saying that in a context, your extension, it's on paragraph 9, paragraph 18, page 9. So here you were just explaining that during the period of your arrival and when the decision, you were still under orientation. And your orientation was extensive, it only ended this year.
Yes.
Now this year is 2025.
Yes.
Is that what you meant?
Yes, I did indicate that.
Should we put it on record that you took a decision to disband while you were still under orientation?
Not necessarily. And the reason is, I said my orientation got or extended to discussions, extended to decisions. I do indicate that in my main submission because it did. What I mean is, even on the third round of discussions on the same issue, scaled down to smaller units or areas at work, where you would have started, for instance, discussing support services, which is a big branch. You would, in your second round, take one of the issues that fall within, like the structure, for instance, the organizational structure. You separate it, you discuss it until you take a resolution, which we did. We took a resolution during that period. So by the time we reviewed the structure, it wouldn't have been called orientation in the normal sense of the word, because we had understood that the structure of this organization is like this. Now, we took another round to match it with the imperatives of the seventh administration. And to say, if you are structured like this, would you be able to meet the imperatives? And that is what we did. And then we looked also at the budget and so on. So yes, it was loosely spoken about. It was the period, broadly speaking, of orientation, but not necessarily that we were in the mode of orientation in the normal sense of the word. We were discussing and taking decisions. Because this was the 5th month already. So I can't say for 5 months I was just cruising with orientations only. I was at work already, having understood some of the aspects.
Now, with regards to the allegations that were raised, because the allegations, insofar as they are concerned, they also implicate some members of the organization. The Facebook post, for instance, of Ms. Mashale, they even speak about an illegal abuse of monies in the secrets account, and they even mention names that they allege to be involved. Did you give those individuals an opportunity to explain, to say, gentlemen, come here, here are the allegations against you. How do you respond to them?
Now, the letter was written on the 31st. These allegations had been going on for some time, and we did talk about them internally, personally with the National Commissioner. And we did talk about Patricia Mashale, to be specific. And he did say, tell me what his take is. And I took it for what he was saying, that she always writes, she always complains, and they have a particular regard on her and so on. So I didn't go on beyond the National Commissioner to specific people. It was only in January, around the 7th of January, when many allegations of the sale of property that emerged to the public, that I started saying, now, these matters that are emerging now can't just be left without an investigation, a proper investigation. That is when I went to the IGI to say, I've become aware of these allegations about alleged improper procurement of buildings and so on, including this name and that name. So let's do this. Go and investigate because that's your terrain. And that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter, Minister, and considering the explanation that you have given here, you took a decision without affording them an opportunity, either through appointing a forensic investigator or an internal investigation or conducting your own assessment.
But
it never happened.
The decision was not necessarily against those people that you see on Patricia Mashale's allegations, not at all. Until even when I took the decision that would affect some of them, I went to the IGI to say, investigate this and run with it. That's how it actually happened. So it's not like the decision of 31 December affected the people that you are talking about and that are spoken about in Patricia Mashale's letter or allegations, so to speak.
Now, when you are responding to Honorable Ngola, I think he was asking you about the constitutionality of your decision.
Yes.
And you said you acted within Section 207, subsection 2.
Yes.
Which gives you an authority to give a directive.
Among others, yes.
Amongst others, yes. Now, there's a difference between making a decision and giving a directive. Do you agree on that?
There is I would say, it's part and parcel. You can take a decision to issue a directive. In that way, they are connected. They're not necessarily independent of each other. In this instance, I took a decision to issue a particular directive or particular directives, 3 of them.
Yes. And having an authority to give a directive is not open-ended. It must be done within the constitutional order.
Definitely, it must be done with due regard to other sections of the Constitution, like policing policy, like the needs of a province, like all of those other injunctions of the Constitution.
Yes. So it doesn't mean that by virtue of having that right, you can do it anyhow. There is a process that you must adhere to in terms of the Constitution.
Well, not per se process, but other provisions. For instance, you must also pay due regard to the powers of the National Commissioner. You have to do that.
Exactly.
Because the Constitution doesn't prescribe the content of your directives. merely says directives.
Yeah, the Constitution doesn't prescribe the content, but the Act gives a full meaning of a responsibility of the National Commissioner.
Yes,
And everything must be done within the legal framework. So it can't be
Yes.
directives. You can't say, Commissioner, wake up, sleep, go out, come in. It must be within the order of the Constitution. That is my point.
yes, it covers both the minister and the chair, section 24. Yes, you're
Okay.
right.
Section 11, subsection 2D of the SAPS Act provides that the National Commissioner has powers to organize and reorganize the service into various components, units, or groups. I've just taken only that part because it is relevant to what I'm going to ask you.
Yes.
Is a task team part of a police service?
A task team part of police service.
Yes.
A task team is a part of policing practices. I would put it in my own words like that, so that I'm sure I understand. I
Yes.
have my own interpretation, but I'm sure we're saying the same thing.
Yeah. When you disband the task team, you are reorganizing the police service. That is my understanding. You reorganize the police service, you consider priorities and needs that are prevalent at that time of your decision. Is that correct?
When I do what?
I'm saying when you disband the task team under normal circumstances, you disband it because you are prioritizing needs and priorities that are prevalent at that time. Do you agree with me?
Partly minding that there are task teams that would have been established by a district commissioner or a provincial commissioner or a national commissioner using powers of that they have. But in the form of the National Political Killings Task Team, it came into existence via an intervention of the president and directed to the IMC, and then it came into being. And if you did so, it's not entirely like an internal, like for instance, the task team of 2016 to 18. That one had nothing to do with any intervention from anywhere else. Those ones were internal. Even 2014 to 16, that task team was internal. But this one had a difference. So what you are narrating, yes, but it applies to ordinary task teams that would have been established, not this particular one, because this one came as a result of an intervention.
But this task team minister was established in accordance with the needs of KZN.
Yes.
Because political killings were prevalent in KZN, were rife in KZN.
Yes, but remember that those matters got elevated to the country as a whole, to the level of the country.
Yeah, but remember, we must not lose context. At the time when the decision was taken, there was a death of a comrade in KZN.
Yes.
And the president attended a funeral in KZN.
Yes.
And then he made a commitment that he was going to intervene. Post that, he came to Parliament, he announced the establishment of the
Yes.
interministerial committee. So I'm saying the main reason for its formation was the political killings that were rife in KZN.
Yes.
Yes.
To which the president decided to politically intervene.
Correct. And therefore, it was formed on the basis of the policing needs and priorities of KZN.
You could probably interpret it like that, but you are not talking about ordinary policing here, because there was that kind of, I would say, development in the province where there was an increase in observed of this particular nature. It was not just one incident, it was a pattern, and therefore the president decided to intervene. It's important to factor that in, that there was a pattern that was discernible that caused the president to act.
Okay, let me put this proposition to you, that the decision to disband falls within the ambit of Section 11, subsection 2 of the SAPS Act, which I've read. I can read it again for you, which provides that the National Commissioner has powers to organize and reorganize the service into various components, units, and groups. Now, the task team falls in a category of groups because it is not a unit. I think you gave a very eloquent explanation when you're making a difference between a unit and a task team. And therefore, this responsibility to disband does not fall within the powers of the minister. There is nowhere in the Constitution where you are given powers to either establish or disband a structure, because you don't have powers to control and manage the policy affairs or the policy services.
You would take care to note that when the National Commissioner exercises his powers, including that one, it is with due regard to the ministerial powers. I just want to put a comma there and go on to say, this task team, although it's a task team in the manner that would more or less be explained like that, this one didn't come just anyhow. The president intervened politically and caused certain matters to take a particular course via his decision. IMC, political task team. Okay. Not via the exercise of normal powers that you are talking about, where the National Commissioner in his office would say, let me reorder, let me organize, let me control, let me change, It didn't come like that. It came via political intervention. Now the question is, or the issue is, if political interventions leads into what we ended up having in the manner that we had, what is wrong, either legally or otherwise, when the same political intervention is now reversed to say we are now disbanding what we brought into existence, we're now bringing it into an end? What's wrong with that? So my reasoning is that if you created an entity or a structure like that, political, it's different from a structure that emanated from within the office of the National Commissioner. You couldn't come as minister and say, you could discuss it, you could engage, but you couldn't just say, I am now using my powers, a directive to remove that because it was not created in this manner. It is unique. The political intervention unit is unique. Yes, it's a political task team, but I'm not sure whether it was envisaged in the Constitution there would be circumstances like those. It is in that venture that I say I was convinced that I'm perfectly within the Constitution and within the legislative framework, because even those powers that you are talking about that the National Commissioner exercises say have due regard